Hello class, this is Haley here, and today we're going to be talking about one of the most useful punctuation marks in the English language, the comma. Here's why I think commas are so useful and a little bit ridiculous. According to grammarbook.com, there are 16 acceptable uses of the comma. The comma has hard and fast rules, such as never put a comma between the subject and its verb. And commas also have rules that are a little bit looser, not so hard and fast, but more of a style choice, such as the Oxford comma, which we can get into my thoughts on later. 16 acceptable uses means that the comma does a lot of heavy lifting. This little guy is doing the work of about 8 punctuation marks. Compare it to our friend the question mark, which really only has one job, and that's to indicate a question has been asked. I mean, just look at the comma. It's just hanging out there in your sentence, looking like it's trying to trip you. Good writing is about precision, and a comma can be your best friend when you are trying to give your writing better clarity, because the clearer your writing is, the more powerful your message is. So, I have boiled down the top 7 rules for comma usage that you actually need to know. So today you're going to be taking some notes. You are going to be able to either use the template provided in the assignment section of Google Classroom, or you can get out a paper and pencil and something to write on and take a picture of your notes when this is all done and upload it that way. It's your choice. But keep in mind, if it is handwritten, it needs to be legible. And the picture needs to be clear enough to read. If I can't understand it, I can't grade it. If it isn't legible, please use your handwritten notes to fill out the template on Google Classroom and submit it that way. In fact, that's the way I recommend. It always is very helpful to take handwritten notes and then translate them into something a little more permanent, just to help you remember. Okay, grab what you need and let's get started. And remember, if you need to pause this video at any point so that you can write stuff down, please feel free to do that. Okay, here are the 7 comma uses that you really need to know. Rule 1, the series comma. The series comma is used to separate words in a series, like Bears beats Battlestar Galactica. Pretty simple. Rule 2, the Oxford comma. Now this is related to Rule 1. And this means that a comma used after the penultimate means second to last, item in a list of 3 or more items before and or. Here's what I mean. Look at this sentence. Dwight only cares about Bears, Beats, and Battlestar Galactica. See this guy right there? That is what's known as the Oxford comma. And as crazy as it sounds, this strange little caveat, not even its own rule, but it's really an addendum to Rule 1, is one of the most controversial things in grammatical circles. It's because the Oxford comma isn't one of those hard and fast rules. It's really more of a style choice, but it is a rule when omitting it creates confusion. So the controversy among us grammar nerds is whether or not it's even necessary. The anti-Oxford crowd say that it's too snobby and formal and want to see the English language relax on such stuffy rules. But here's what I say. Use it. It makes your writing more clear. I mean, here's what I mean. Consider these 2 sentences, one with and one without the Oxford comma. We invited rhinos, Washington, and Lincoln. This one uses the Oxford comma effectively and separates the items in the series in the reader's mind. Now consider the same sentence without the Oxford comma. We invited rhinos, Washington, and Lincoln. See what I mean? You want to avoid confusion like this whenever possible. You don't want to misrepresent yourself or your ideas to your reader. You want your reader to always have a very clear idea of what you're talking about. So I say use the Oxford comma. Number 3, the adjective separator. This is a comma that separates two adjectives when the order of the adjectives is interchangeable. For example, Raphael is a brave, smart Ninja Turtle. Rule number 4, the comma splice. This one has to do with using a comma incorrectly. It goes like this. Do not put a comma in between two complete sentences. This is a comma splice. When you do this, it means you have a run-on sentences, and run-on sentences, as you know from since elementary school, are a big, big no-no. Rule number 5, commas are a connector when used with and or but. Consider the sentence as written. Things were desperate for Juliet. Friar had a plan. This is a run-on sentence and unclear, so we have to edit it. I'm going to use the connector but to make the sentence grammatically correct and therefore clearer, I need a comma to help me make the sentence clearer. So here's what I do. Things were desperate for Juliet, but Friar had a plan. Number 6, the clause connector. Commas connect dependent and independent clauses. Rule number 7, the parenthetical comma. 2 commas that surround a parenthetical statement. Now, I call this a comma because you need 2 commas to apply this rule correctly. A parenthetical statement is a clause that modifies either the subject or the verb, but you could erase it and the sentence would still make sense. Here's an example. I always thought Phoebe, who is clearly the best one on Friends, deserved more storylines about her. If we took out the highlighted section, the sentence would still make sense. I always thought Phoebe deserved more storylines about her. This is called a parenthetical comma because the clause could have also had a parentheses around it. It's a side thought. It adds detail to the sentence, but it is not the point of the sentence. Those are the 7 things you really need to know about commas. Thank you for watching. To show my appreciation, I want to share a real quick computer trick that if you don't know, you really need to. So, say you're ever typing, doing an assignment, and everything gets erased. Or you make a mistake and you want to go back really quickly and undo it. There's a really simple trick for this. When you hit Control-Z on your computer will undo the last thing you did. It's your undo shortcut. So I hope you find that useful. Guys, be safe, be well. I miss you so much. Text me on Remind with any questions. And please, if you are not on Remind, please get on Remind as soon as possible. Do not put your questions on Google Classroom. Text them on Remind. I don't see those questions that you make comments on your assignments till way later. There's always a simple solution, not always, there's usually a simple solution, and if you text me, we can find it much quicker. Okay, guys, be safe, be well. I love you.